Dura-Light hub and rotor assemblies for air disc brakes are quickly gaining popularity in the commercial truck market. This is driven by the industry-leading features, which include superior heat management, which isolates lubricant, seals, and bearings from damaging heat, a simple and robust construction, increased thermal capacity for long rotor life, patented corrosion-resistant ABS construction, the ability to change a damaged wheel bolt without removing the wheel end from the axle, error-proof ease of service focus, and reduced system weight. This video explains how to service the Dura-Light hub and rotor assemblies. Please be certain to follow shop safety practices. The vehicle must be secured from movement and supported by suitable jack stands before performing service. Visually inspect the rotor condition. Any of the following conditions will necessitate rotor replacement. Any evidence of metal-on-metal contact between the friction material backing plate and rotor. A crack which passes completely through any section of the rotor. Cracks on the brake surface which extend to the inner or outer diameter of the brake surface. Any crack radiating from or between the rotor mounting holes. The presence of localized black spots known as martensite on the brake surface. Cracks on the surface of the brake plate with a length of 75% or more of the brake surface width. A brake surface thickness at or below the minimum thickness of the rotor. A brake surface thickness at or below the minimum thickness of the rotor when measured with a micrometer at multiple locations. This can be determined by using a micrometer and taking a minimum of 4 measurements in the center of the rotor surface around the rotor in 4 spots or quadrants. Lateral runout of the braking surface should not exceed 0.006 inches when measured at the center of the brake surface with a dial indicator. Please note that the presence of minor to moderate heat checks on the braking surface are acceptable and does not necessitate rotor replacement. Walther Engineering does not recommend the turning, resurfacing, or machining of the brake plates. When replacing rotors, it is recommended that the brake pads be replaced at the same time. When replacing rotors, the wheel bolts must be replaced at the same time. If your inspection reveals the need for rotor replacement, the following instructions provide a guide for replacement of the rotor on your existing hub. Remove the Dura-Light hub and rotor assembly from the vehicle using the same process for removing any wheel end and following the brake manufacturer's instructions for safe and proper caliper removal. Place the Dura-Light hub and rotor on the floor or other stable surface with the wheel bolts pointing upward. Remove the wheel bolts using a commercially available wheel bolt removal tool or a 3 to 5 pound hammer. When using a hammer, be sure to wear safety glasses and avoid striking the hub or yourself or bystanders. Discard the old wheel bolts. The new rotor includes 10 new wheel bolts which must be replaced with the rotor. Otherwise, proper clamping of the rotor to the hub may not be achieved. Additionally, the new wheel bolts have the advantage of being free of corrosion and never subjected to damage due to over or under torquing. Remove the hub seal and bearing cones. Clean the hub. A wire brush or poly wheel on a rotary tool works well. The objective is to remove rust and debris to ensure the rotor sits flush on the hub and the wheel sits flush on the hub. The following areas must be cleaned. Hub bolt flange where it interfaces with the rotor, rotor drain slots and markings, rotor pilot area, hub flange where it interfaces with the wheel. Any paint, rust, or debris should be removed from the wheel flange. Wheel pilots. Note it is very important to get the hub as clean and flat as possible. Pay special attention to completely clean the hub bolt flange where it interfaces with the rotor drain slots, and the rotor pilot area. This eases installation and protects against corrosion. A straight edge may be used to verify flatness of the hub flanges. It is very important to verify flatness on both the rotor side and the wheel side of the flange. There should be no visible gaps between the flange and straight edge. If there is a gap, the hub must be replaced. Wash the hub in a standard parts wash solution to remove contaminants, debris, and old lubricant. After the hub is dry and clean, install the inner bearing cone and a new seal. Place the hub on top of the new rotor. being careful to align the rotor drain slots with the cleaned up marks on the hub from the positioning of the old rotor. Install the new wheel bolts using either a 2-piece flange nut or a commercially available wheel bolt tool. When using flange nuts to install the wheel bolts, use a different flange nut on each wheel bolt. Using a 2-piece flange nut to install more than one wheel bolt can result in damage to the flange nut. Be certain to oil each nut between the flange and the integrated washer. If you do not have a deep enough socket, it may be necessary to use a stack of washers to run the nut far enough to fully seat the wheel bolts. 300 foot-pounds of torque is normally sufficient for fully seating the wheel bolts. Under no condition should you apply more than 500 foot-pounds of torque to the fasteners, or damage may occur. After installing the first wheel bolt, the next wheel bolt should be on the other side of the rotor, 180 degrees opposite the first bolt. After the second wheel bolt is installed, the remaining wheel bolts can be installed in any order. The Dura-Light hub and rotor assembly is now ready for installation, adjustment, and lubrication in accordance with industry practices. Note: hub and rotor assemblies weigh in excess of 115 pounds, and Walther EMC recommends service personnel always use a suitable lifting device when handling. Hub and rotor assemblies with hub-mounted seals require extra care during installation to avoid seal damage and a leaking wheel end. For detailed bearing adjustment instructions, consult TMC's RP618. For detailed lubrication instructions, consult TMC's RP631. Alternatively, rotor replacement can be accomplished with replacement of the complete hub and rotor assembly. It is reasonable to save about 2 hours by swapping out a complete hub and rotor assembly. The economic viability of this approach will depend on your hourly shop rate. Walther hub lubrication capacities can be found at waltheremc.com. As of 2019, the Walther EMC 187P hub has an oil fill level of 33.6 fluid ounces and a 50% fill level for semi-fluid grease of 40 fluid ounces. The Walther EMC 193N hub has an oil fill level of 22.4 fluid ounces and a 50% fill level for semi-fluid grease of 32 fluid ounces. When you specify Walther Engineering and Manufacturing products, be assured that you are getting the best value wheel end and brake components available. Give your maintenance team a break with Dura-Light hubs and rotors for air disc brakes. Contact us today.